Hello, welcome to White Birch Tarot. This reading is for the weekend of Saturday and Sunday, the 22nd and 23rd of July. And there's a lot of stuff going on in the sky, so I thought I would talk about it and do a little reading. We've got some important stuff happening, but before I do that, I just want to read a couple of quotes. I found some that a friend had sent to me, and there's some really good ones. And this first one, I just think it's funny. We needed a little something lighthearted. I'm doing my middle of the night can't sleep reading. And this is from someone named Herm Albright. And he said, a positive attitude may not solve all your problems, but it will annoy enough people to make it worth the effort. So go for it. And then I like this one. The most important lessons often come where the road turns sharply. Yeah, we all know that, I imagine. Okay, I just wanted to talk about the astrology, and rather than print off a huge chart that you couldn't see, I showed off my stunning artistic skills where you can see that I literally cannot draw a straight line. I mean, I could if I used a ruler, but my Mars is in Aries, and I don't have time for that kind of nonsense. I just go for it. So this is supposed to be, I don't know if you're familiar with the birth chart, and I really am going to do astrology classes. I bought the wrong iPad, so I have to clear it all up. I was going to get started on learning the PowerPoint, but I will. And believe me, they're going to be good, okay? And they're going to look better than this because I'm going to do I'm going to learn how to do PowerPoint. But this is the Earth, okay? Those are supposed to meet, but they don't. But they do really, so just pretend they do. Okay, so what I wanted to point out here is we have several things going on right now, and this just lasts for a couple days. The moon in Cancer is opposite Pluto in Capricorn, so there's kind of a push-pull thing going on there. You know, we talked about that last time, the Capricorn Cancer axis, the mother and the father, the stability of the outside structures versus the home and the family and relationships, and not so much, well, yeah, relationships, like family relationships and nurturing. So there's kind of they're opposite each other right now. It's interesting because the overall energy card that I drew was the Chariot. And I thought, well, how does that fit in when I looked at the other cards? And I thought, oh, this is the sun in Cancer, because the Chariot is usually Cancer. This is the sun, or let's say this one's the sun, the white horse. We'll give the black horse to Pluto. These two things seem to be pulling us in different directions, but actually we're moving forward, even though it doesn't feel like it, because oppositions are what they sound like, two opposite energies, but you know what? They can work in harmony because they're two sides of the same coin. Okay, but the neatest thing that we have is that Venus has stationed retrograde. That happened yesterday. Actually, today, because it's the middle of the night. Okay, Friday, the 22nd. Venus stationed retrograde. She's going to go backwards now through Leo. And then tomorrow, the 23rd, Chiron, which is in Aries at 19 degrees, is going retrograde. And anytime we say retrograde, and I also want to point out that we have Saturn in Pisces retrograde, Mercury is in Cancer retrograde. I already mentioned Venus is retrograde. So we have a lot of retrograde energy right now. And what that does is it makes you review things and kind of like, you know, things from the past come up. And it's kind of like it's like a review of, you know, what did I do in this area of my life? Why did I do that? Why didn't I do that? So we have a lot of retrograde energy right now. And no, that can feel a little heavy. Anyway, and these are the aspects that are going on right now. We have one really interesting one, but Venus is square Uranus, which means that, you know, Venus kind of wants to review relationships. Excuse my voice, it is really late. And Uranus is in Taurus, and it wants to do earthy, you know, practical things, although Uranus is really never practical. So it could be sudden surprises, about relationships and just feeling stuck. Can't getting things to move in relationships. And let's see, what other aspects do we have? Well, here's the really interesting one. This is why I drew the chart. We have what is called a yod, which is also called the finger of God. I knew my voice would go. Oh well. And it's Venus. Okay, she's being pointed at. And what a yod is, it's 150 degrees, 50 degrees from one planet, which is called either an inconjunct or a quincunx, depending on who you talk to. Then you go the other direction, and she goes 150 degrees. This is Pluto in Capricorn. She goes 150 degrees to Neptune in Pisces. So essentially, I'm trying to get my fingers here. So essentially, Pluto and Neptune are only 60 degrees apart, which is called a sextile, which is very beneficial. So they're working in harmony with each other. Remember, Pluto's the underworld. It's death, transformation, rebirth, the subconscious mind. And Neptune is the imagination. It's the feeling of we are all one. It's glamour. It's kind of I want to say, like, Pluto's like the underworld, like the dark side. Neptune is kind of like the fairy world. It's like, ooh, I'm in, I can do anything I want, and we're all one, and everything's artistic, and that's great. But they both have their negative sides, of course. But the interesting thing is that, so here's the, whoops, it's very difficult with one hand to hold things up and point. So anyway. So here's Pluto and Neptune working in harmony with each other. They're pointing straight at Venus. Okay, 28 degrees, 28 degrees, 27 degrees. So that's called the finger of God. It's pointing right at Venus, who is retrograde in Leo. And Leo, again, rules the heart. It also rules romance and creativity and children and stuff like that. But right now, I'm feeling a very intense review of relationships. And I feel like this can go back into relationships in the past because everything is retrograde. So she's sort of being interrogated. It's kind of like, good cop, bad cop here with Pluto being the bad cop and Neptune being the good cop. So they're both asking Venus to look back at her relationships, maybe through her entire life, and say, okay, and Pluto's in Capricorn, so this is kind of a stern energy, like it's a judgment energy, like, things from the past may get dredged up in your subconscious, and Pluto's saying, what could you have done better? What are you holding on to? What has given you structure in your relationships? Neptune, on the other hand, is saying, where have you felt romance? Where have you felt imagination? Where have you been inspired in your relationships and felt moved to help others and feel like we're all, unconditional love? And it's interesting because a lot of times when people talk about Neptune, they talk about wearing rose-colored glasses. And I thought this was funny because I thought of a pair of sunglasses where, like, one lens is pink and the other one's like, dark gray or black or something. So anyway, it's a very interesting, very intense aspect. And since all the planets are retrograde, I thought, wow, this is really going back into the past with your relationships. So I kind of started there when I was thinking about the reading. I just had to show you that. And I promise when I do my astrology classes, I'm not going to use a pen. I'm literally going to learn how to use a PowerPoint. They sold me the wrong iPad. I got to go fiddle with it again. So I'm using the word fiddle a lot. I don't know where that, like the 1960s, whatever. Okay. So as I said, the overall energy card is the Chariot. So we're moving forward, but we're feeling pulled in two directions at the same time. Okay, let me get these. These were my props. Okay, so I have pulled the cards. I see a ton of swords and a couple of wands. So here we go. So I first pulled the Ten of Swords, and this is This is an ending, which of course implies a beginning, but this is where your thoughts have been so negative that like you're just literally you're done. Okay, this is the stick a fork in me, I'm done card. This person just can't take anymore. He's been plagued by these negative thoughts, and he's just like, I'm down for the count. But all is not lost, because we have Athena here, the goddess of wisdom. And sometimes when you surrender, and I don't mean that in like giving up, but surrender in the sense of just saying, you know what, I'm just not going to worry about this anymore. What shall be, shall be. And yes, the harpies or the furies or whomever these are, they won for the moment, and I'm knocked down. But you know what? The sun is rising in the horizon, and it's time to start a new cycle. So your thoughts may have been driving you crazy, and you're just done. I found this great meditation online. If anyone is like plagued with anxiety, he's the website is the Anxiety Guy, and this was called let me think, the guided meditation, the surrender session. And I found it very helpful. This is all about surrender. It's like just, stop trying to fight, because you're not going to win. So just, and again, I'm not saying give up, but give in just for a while and say, okay, I'm not going to think about that anymore. And then I drew the Two of Swords. And again, this is being caught, this is like the Chariot. This is being caught between two conflicting ideas or forces. Half of you wants to do one thing and half of you wants to do another, but these are thoughts, these are ideas. And you're just not sure what to do. You're like, I'm sick of listening to these conflicting voices in my head. They both make sense or neither make sense, and I can't do them both. So what am I going to do? So you're kind of in limbo right here with your thoughts. And then we get the Seven of Swords, which has been coming up a lot lately, especially in Gemstone Tarot's reading, and I mention her because she's awesome. And it's in the reverse, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, is it finally time for this energy to leave? This is the sneaky card. So sometimes this can be you hiding your hiding your thoughts from others, but generally it's someone else taking something from you in the dead of night, like, especially something mental that's going on, like information that's being withheld from you. Someone's not being above board with you, but it's in the reverse. And I don't feel like this is telling me that person is necessarily going to turn around and suddenly be honest, but I think you're going to stop listening to their BS. You're going to call them on it, or maybe you're going to keep quiet about it, but you're not going to fall for it anymore. Okay? Then I drew the Six of Cups. And this is really interesting along with that Venus retrograde, because the Six of Cups is the card of nostalgia, wishing for the past, thinking about a loved one that you've lost, maybe thinking about your childhood home and, oh, I miss that and I miss this. It's the nostalgia card, and it's also the fated karma card, which I feel like with that Venus in the finger of God, I feel like these are fated relationships that we're thinking about. But it's in the reverse, so I'm wondering if now that this is happening and we get this review, maybe we're going to be able to release some of this nostalgia and regret. But you might be in it for a while, and since it's in the reverse, it can also feel kind of sad and, less nostalgic and more like, oh my God, I miss this person. But again, it's in reverse, so hopefully we're moving on from that. Okay, and this is the only major arcana I drew. The Devil. Okay, the Devil is Capricorn, so it could be Pluto in Capricorn. But as you can see, it's usually people tied to a behavior pattern that is not real good for them. Addictions and, just patterns that you would like to get out of, but you feel like someone else is controlling you. So you may not feel too much in control right now. But I think that I think that with the review coming up, you may gain control. And again, I just kind of feel like this is that Pluto in Capricorn. It's really strong. It's at 29 degrees, the last degree of Capricorn. And it's going to leave, I think, in the middle of January. And then I think I heard it comes back again to Capricorn briefly in January 2024. And I'm like, oh, wait, that's this next year. Oh, God, I'm so bad with time. That's this next. I thought it moved out. I'll have to look. I thought it moved out in January 2024. Anyway, okay. I'll look that up. Okay, then the next card we get, this is some needed fire energy, because we don't have a lot of fire going on here. We got 2 fire cards, which is interesting because Chiron is in Aries, and is that the only planet in Aries? I thought I saw somebody else here. Oh, the North Nodes, of course, just moved into Aries. There they are. And the South Nodes are in Libra. Okay, so we have two bodies or 2 things in Aries. And this could be, you know, Chiron in Aries. Let me go back to Chiron, the wounded healer. Chiron is going retrograde in Aries at 19 degrees, right on my midheaven. And I think it's going to actually allow us a review along with these other planets to see where we might have done things differently, and it will give us a chance to heal some wounds. And this 6 of Cups could be healing childhood wounds as well, as could be the devil. Okay, so Page of Wands. Here comes a burst of creative energy and physical energy. So all is not lost. It's not going to all be stuck in your head and reviewing and going, oh my God, why didn't I do this? Or, you know, and again, a review can be lovely, like with the Neptunian energy. Even though Venus is in an inconjunct, also called a quincunx, which is 150 degrees, and it's usually a tough aspect, but it can be looking back with fondness on certain relationships that we've had. So, and they don't all have to be romantic, but I'm kind of feeling like maybe they are. So here comes a burst of an incoming burst, finally, of energy. It can be information, but since it's Wands, I feel more like it's within us, and it's a creative urge of like, I'm going to do this. So that is good. And then interestingly, since the page is the beginning of the energy, although it's not the ace, but it's, you know, it's the beginning of the court cards, then we get the 10 of Wands, which is the end of the wand energy, the end of the wand cycle. So we have an end and a beginning here. So this is where you are just at the end of your rope, spiritually and physically and energy-wise. Sorry, I'm really tired. And you're just like, okay, I give up. I'm just going to burn the whole damn thing to the ground. Like, let's just, you know, just forget it. It's not working. I'm so done. I've been carrying these wands forever, and I'm done with this. I am not going to struggle with this anymore. And again, I would suggest that surrender session, guided meditation. It's really good, the anxiety guide. And I have no affiliation with anybody I talk about here. None. I just tell you what I like. So this might be a good thing where you're letting go of what you've been carrying and saying, look, this way of doing this isn't working. So I'm going to try a new way. Okay? And then we end up with, and I've forgotten now what I pulled. Oh, yeah. The 5 of Swords. Okay? And this is different in this deck. 5s are usually disruptive. This is in reverse. I'm going to have to take a sneak peek at my cheat sheet here because I am not real familiar with Liz Green's 5 of Swords. Just hum to yourself here. Okay. The necessity of facing one's own limits and capabilities. Possibly the individual has taken on too much and must back off. Okay, that explains why we have the 10 of Swords and the 2 of Swords. And possibly, not that one so much, but I think this is like mental energy that's just like, you know, I'm going around in circles, I'm just done. So we have taken on too much. We're too scattered. Our energy is scattered, especially our thought energy. And we're just like constantly thinking, what can I do? How can I make this better? We've taken on too much, but it's in reverse. So I'm really hoping that this means that we're going to stop doing that to ourselves. And we're going to lay something down. This is where we lay down our thoughts, the Ten of Swords. And again, with the Ten of Wands, we got 2 tens. So we're definitely done with some thinking and acting that we have either been planning to do or doing that just isn't working, okay? So, interesting. Kind of a lot going on here. I'm going to pull a couple of oracle cards, and I'll keep them easy. We'll go with my favorite deck here, the what's it called? The Wisdom of the Oracle. I think I should know that, but again, 5 in the morning, don't know what I'm doing. Okay, I'm really a great salesperson, aren't I? Yeah, really, I am gonna be. I'm really good at this sometimes. Okay, if I may say so myself. Okay, poised. This is getting ready to start something new. This goes along perfectly with the Page of Wands. We are poised for a new course of action. We are definitely standing there and we are ready. We're giving up on the old things that haven't been working. These cards don't want to come out tonight. Okay, here comes one. These are very similar. We are also going to be flexible. We're going to have to give up the, I'm going to do this by God if it kills me. We have to give up that attitude, and we are going to be flexible. You must be flexible during this time. It's not going to be easy with the Venus thing, but be kind to yourself, and just know that something new will come in. And then whenever we reach the end of something, the end of our rope, the end of the limits, something new tends to pop in because, we leave a vacuum and something fills it. So, okay, I just felt like doing this tonight. Sorry I went on a little long. Hope it's useful. Please hit the like, share, and subscribe buttons. And I will post again soon. And I think I'll do a whole separate reading just for Chiron going retrograde in Aries because it's so important. So, thank you, blessings, and good night.